Aloha, I'm Aja Eyre with the weekly Maui Pono Network update. This is March 4th, and this is the one date on the calendar that is a command, March 4th. We're going to March 4th right now with some updates. So as we predicted last week, they did announce the permanent disposal site for the burned materials and ashes and debris from the Lahaina fires. I'm assuming that's also going to be the permanent site if there's more Kula fire disposal. And it is in the Central Valley. So it's going to be near or at the Central Landfill. The county's still working on the permits and obtaining the extra land that they need to and all of that. So that's great news. Of course, there were still people that were not happy about this, especially people downwind in Kihei. I noticed there were a lot of comments coming in on those meetings where they announced these that just were like, and we're still putting it somewhere that's so windy. Unfortunately, our island is windy all over, and it's not a possibility right now to take it off island. You know, there are problems with all sites. The good thing about the Central Valley, of course, is that it's not located near residential areas, nor is it near the nearshore area. So it's hopefully not going to pollute the ocean. But the other thing we talked about last week, hopefully you watched, is that Maui Pono Network, some of our met with the administration now about separating the ash from the rest of the debris. And the administration was very positive about this, and they were excited about it. And the reason that Maui Pono Network has been following up on this is because the studies that Maui Pono Network did for this, the ash that was pulled off, I'm going to do a little screen share right now. So if we can pull that up, you'll see. So when the ash was tested and the soil and all of that, 95% of these heavy metals in the residential, 94% was in ash and not in the soil. And when they're taking these burn plots and clearing them of the debris, you've got that ash layer and you've got the soil underneath that's been contaminated, so they need to remove some of that. But we're finding that the majority of these really, really bad heavy metals, especially in the residential area and the ash. And then you're seeing in the commercial, it's a little bit different, but still it's far above 85%. So we've been pushing to have the ash separated from the soil instead of taking it all in the same loads, and to mitigate the amount of pollution within that soil, because the soil is really heavy. It's hard to dispose of permanently. And the other really interesting thing, again, that Maui Pono Network's been following up on this, there are a lot of technologies right now that you can take this carbon heavy ash, this heavy metal heavy ash, and you can put that actually into another form through these technologies. So there's a number of technologies. Basically, it's heating it again and making it into something that's solid, more compact, and much more easily disposed of for the long term. So when you're just disposing of ash, you still have these same problems. It's going to pollute things around it. It's going to blow away. There's technologies that if you take just the ash, it can bring it down into these smaller, compact, disposable materials. Now, the problem is if we're just scooping all the ash and soil together, those technologies are not available because it's reliant on this heavy carbon, this pre-burned ash is the thing that can be compacted, not the soil itself. So again, this is something that Maui Pono Networks we feel like this is immensely important because it's something that affects our island, our ecosystems, and the people here now, but it also affects people for hundreds of years potentially. And so we'll keep following up on that as we get more details and we see like what's going to be available, what technology is available, what if the cost is doable, all these things. Ultimately, it has if we chase these options and look at these technologies, it does have the potential of changing waste management in our county for good, for the long term. So there's another reason, like right now we're dealing with the fire debris and ash, but long term this could be a really positive thing. And we've needed an overhaul, a kind of remodel of how we're handling waste here regardless. So good things here. We feel like this is important. We'll continue to keep you updated. And I don't have a ton more details right now because we don't want to give you information that might change as we're meeting with more people and having more of these studies. come back to us. All right, so moving away from the county, we're still following the bills at the state. We still have 5881. If I'm saying the number right, I just realized it left my brain for a second, but that's that bill building the Lele community board that makes all these decisions about how the west side is redeveloped and developed over time. So again, just still watching it move through its committees, still a lot of concerns. We're hoping to have some experts or maybe even the sponsor of the bill here with us for a little interview, but we'll keep you posted on that, and we'll have some links that you can follow up on that one. Again, still watching that, still reaching out to people who are there in the state house and the legislature and the Senate to find out what's going on and why it's continuing to pass, even though there's some major problems with it. Okay, and then finally, no new candidates have been announced since last week, but we're still hoping that people are getting ready. They're preparing themselves emotionally, financially, physically to run for office here. We've got those county council seats are all running up for re-election and election. We're going to see some new council members, new people trying to come in, just because it's great to have involvement from across the community. So if you're interested in running, please let us know. There are also a bunch of state house and Senate seats that come up every couple of years that those are open as well. So let us know. We can help you out. We have a great candidate training manual, regardless of whether you or your friend, maybe pass this on to a friend, whether they agree with our political stance of open government and community involvement. Even if they didn't agree with that, we still want to help people because we feel like good candidates is how we increase the effectiveness and the positive movement of our local government. So more people we can get involved, more people interested in getting good candidates in there, and candidates who are prepared and feel supported by the community. Those are those candidates that are going to make a big difference. So we hope that we're going to be hearing from more people, and we look forward to interviews that are coming up in just a couple months. Again, this is Maui Pono Network. We really love that you guys are here listening, getting involved, and staying educated on local concerns and local news. And we'll see you next week. Aloha.